On the award night of the World Rally Championship, I received a video from my assistant, wishing my boy a smooth debut victory. In the clip, a young stranger was driving my customized race car, racing down the track with bold energy. The post was uploaded by my wife, and I was blocked from seeing it. I stared at the screen, my knuckles turning white, just about to call her. The next second, that young man was standing on the podium, and I was the one who had to present him the trophy. Not only was he wearing my full set of racing gear, he was even wearing the safety talisman my wife had begged for me. I let out a cold laugh, snapped a picture of the scene, and sent it to my wife with a message. Honey, how interesting. The custom race car I lost, turns out someone else is driving it tonight. He's even wearing the talisman you gave me. If I didn't look closely, I would have thought all these were my official merch. Tell me, if I expose him now, do you think he can still keep that championship title? Just after I sent the message, the camera suddenly panned toward the VIP spectator seats. My wife stood up with roses in her hands, forming a heart gesture toward the podium. The giant screen clearly showed her lips mouthing, "I love you." I took off my sunglasses and walked toward her, smiling at her in front of a live broadcast watched around the world. Honey, what brings you here today? Main text. The moment our eyes met, my wife's face turned deathly pale. I, however, acted as if nothing was wrong, looking at her with concern. Honey, why do you look so pale? Are you too tired? Beside us, the race official also stood up, looking curiously between us. Mr. Koo, you know Miss Lin. He pointed at my wife, his face full of admiration. This Miss Lin is our team's newest sponsor. This year's new turbo engine development, and the entire renovation of the driver training base, Lin Corporation funded all of it. Even the base of the championship trophy has Lin's logo engraved on it. The official enthusiastically turned to my wife. President Lin, why didn't you tell us you were coming? We should have arranged a presenter's seat for you. It seemed the engine noise earlier drowned out my honey. I smiled and wrapped my arm affectionately around her tense shoulders. We're more than just acquainted. We're married, right, dear? My wife's fingers dug sharply into her palm as she forced out a smile. Just came to discuss business and watched the race on the way. Didn't want to disturb your work, she stammered through her response to the official, then reluctantly introduced me. This is my husband, Leonardo Koo. She didn't dare look me in the eyes the entire time. I didn't expose her flimsy excuses on the spot. Instead, I turned toward the podium with interest. Marco, who's that rookie driver up there? That overtaking maneuver in the last corner, quite impressive. The official immediately brightened with excitement. You mean Noah? He's a prodigy. Comes from a remote mountain region but has astonishing talent. Our youth academy recruited him exceptionally. President Lin personally took care of him, assigned him a private engineer and a personal mental coach. I nodded, my fingertips tapping lazily on the railing. At the celebration banquet after the race, the director brought Noah to the VIP suite. Noah, come meet the two-time world champion, veteran Leonardo. The car you drove today is the modified version of the very championship car Mr. Koo used back then. The official added cheerfully, and guess what? Your biggest sponsor happens to be Mr. Koo's wife. Noah immediately bowed, speaking of his admiration for me and his gratitude toward Elise. His words were humble, but the proud gleam in his eyes as he stroked his helmet cut into me like a shard of ice. I fixed my gaze on the familiar wear marks on his neck guard and let out a soft laugh. Driver Noah is supposed to be from a poor mountain area, right? How can he afford carbon fiber custom protective gear? What's even more interesting is that the wear marks on that set match the ones on my set that went missing last month, down to the exact angle of the scratches. Cold sweat instantly soaked through Noah's racing suit as he looked toward my wife for help. My wife immediately cut in, her voice sharp. The protective gear is a sponsored trial product from the brand. And the race car, it was assembled by the engineer using old spare parts. As she spoke, her eyes actually reddened. Leo, you know, I've always wanted to help these kids. I slowly removed my gloves, and in the silence of the entire room, patted Noah on the shoulder. On the surface I appeared calm, but in reality, Noah's shoulder was nearly crushed by my grip. As I turned around, I shook my phone in front of my wife. On the screen were my call records with the police and my lawyer. Honey, that race car and the protective gear mean a great deal to me. If I ever find out who dared to steal them, I'll make sure he suffers a fate worse than death. Elisa's expression could no longer be described as merely ugly. She grabbed my arm tightly, her voice hoarse. Her high heels wobbled, knocking into the champagne tower. The sound of crystal glasses shattering matched the rhythm of her chattering teeth. Honey, you're tired today. Let's go home. The car door slammed shut. I turned and stared coldly at Elise. Elise, explain. She hurried forward, her voice trembling. Leo, he and I really are just sponsor and recipient. The kid grew up in the mountains. He'd never even seen a race car. I just felt soft-hearted. I let out a mocking laugh, tapping my fingers against the steering wheel. It was fine when you sponsored him while he was entering the youth academy, but now he has a professional contract. His annual salary is enough to buy 10 sets of top-tier gear. Starting today, your team stops all special treatment toward him. Right in front of her, I instructed the team to evaluate Noah's race allocation based on rookie standards. From now on, his training reports would also be sent directly to me. Then I looked directly into her eyes, each word landing like a rivet hammered into steel. You are to cut off all private contact with him, including that so-called mentor role. And I pulled off the neck guard Noah had worn and tossed it at her feet. My custom race car and gear, if even one screw is missing. Your precious protege can go scrub cars at the car wash. Elise Lynn's lips trembled violently before she finally nodded stiffly. Back then, in order to secure the naming rights for the racing team, the Lynn family married off their carefully groomed daughter to me. She was smart and beautiful, decisive and fierce in business. We gradually developed real feelings after starting as business partners. All these years, I raced around the world while she handled team sponsorships. We worked seamlessly together, until today, when I realized her passion for cultivating new talent had all been poured into a particular someone. The next morning, my equipment was neatly set in the center of the garage. That set of scratched carbon fiber protective gear was carefully placed in a dustproof box. And beside it were the keys to my race car. Everything has been inspected. Elisa's voice sounded like it had been scraped raw by sandpaper. He won't ever appear in front of you again. I weighed the keys in my hand, the cold metallic sheen reflecting her reddened eyes, listening to the small, aggrieved sobs slipping from her lips. My heart softened. Elise had just gone back to rest when a live stream notification popped up on my phone. It was Noah's stream. I frowned and tapped it open. On screen, the young man was wiping a helmet. My championship co-branded helmet. Guys, check out this signature. He deliberately rubbed his fingertip across my handwritten autograph. Some washed-up drivers just love leaving marks on their gear, like dogs peeing to claim territory. The bullet comments exploded with laughter. I narrowed my eyes as he put my neck guard around his throat. I heard someone is desperate to get these pieces of junk back. He suddenly leaned close to the camera, smiling provocatively. Too bad. They're all soaked with my sweat now. The live stream title was glaringly bold, exposing the true face of certain legendary drivers. I let out a short, cold laugh and immediately notified team management to dismantle his training engine and replace it with the original factory basic model. On the stream, Noah was still mocking and sniping. Some people use their seniority to suppress rookies because they're scared of being replaced. He shook the pair of gloves I had donated to the team. Just like these things, old stuff should be thrown away. The next second, my phone began ringing like crazy. My assistant shouted from the other end, "Mr. Koo, that kid just said on live stream that your last season's championship was rigged. It's already blowing up on the trending searches." I calmly logged into the social account I hadn't used in 10 years and posted a screenshot of Noah wearing my full set of gear. Captioned, "How does the stolen equipment feel?" Reminder, stealing professional racing gear counts as a criminal offense. Minimum sentence, 3 years. At Noah at Lynn Group Legal Department. Noah's live stream suddenly went dark. 5 minutes later, my phone received a call from Noah's agent trying to settle things. I didn't answer. I simply forwarded it to my lawyer with a note, "Add defamation compensation." Just then, my phone rang again, an urgent call. It was Grandma. "Good boy, your grandpa's heart is acting up again. We came to the Central Hospital for a checkup today." Her voice carried careful hesitation. "If you have time." Over the years, my grandparents' health had only gotten worse, and Elise and I took turns caring for them. I remembered she'd said this morning she was flying to Germany for a modified car expo, so I immediately agreed. "I'll be there right away." The smell of disinfectant in the hospital corridor stung my eyes. I was looking over the test report when Grandma suddenly clutched my arm tightly. "Good boy." Her withered fingers pointed toward the obstetrics wing. "Isn't that Eli over there?" Following her trembling finger, I saw Noah supporting Elise by her shoulder as they walked out of the ultrasound room. The young man was holding a color Doppler ultrasound sheet, and she, my wife, was skillfully fixing the collar of his coat. I held Grandma back from rushing forward, forcing down my emotions and joking lightly. "Grandma, your eyesight's getting bad. Eli's in Germany right now. How could she be here? Let's go do your ECG first. I'll take you back to the ward to rest." After settling her in, I snapped a picture of the electronic date board at the corner and sent it to Elise. "Tell me, what time is it in Germany right now?" Immediately after, I made the call. "Elise, get to the VIP cardiology room in 3 minutes. On the other end, her breathing halted. "Honey, why are you at the hospital?" I stared coldly in the direction of the obstetrics wing and laughed. "I should be the one asking you. Since when did Munich Airport relocate to the OBGYN department?" Her voice suddenly weakened. "Noah, His racing injury sequela came back. He needs regular checkups. Shut up. I cut her off directly. Get over here, now. She suddenly toughened her tone. My pregnancy isn't stable. I can't be emotionally agitated. We'll talk tonight. The call was slammed shut. When I dialed again, her phone was powered off. I immediately had my assistant pull up Elisa's medical records. Under husband, the word Noah burned into my eyes like acid, suppressing the fury boiling in my chest. I forwarded the record to Elisa's parents. Almost at the same moment, Noah updated his Instagram. She said she wants to shut out the whole world, just to listen to our heartbeat. The photo showed Elise leaning down to listen to fetal sounds, the woman who claimed to hate children, now carefully removing her earrings to avoid scratching her belly. I threw the screenshot into the family group chat. My wife skipped grandpa's follow-up exam to get a prenatal check with a male racer. Reasonable behavior. The group instantly exploded with a dozen notifications. My cousin replied within seconds. Isn't that the racer she sponsored? They're together enough to get pregnant now. Elisa's calls began flooding in. I removed my SIM card and smiled politely at the nurse. Could you add another bed to the VIP ward, please? The next morning, Mr. and Mrs. Lin dragged Elise Lin into the room. A rosewood cane struck directly behind her knees. You've disgraced the entire Lin family. You shameless disgrace. Mrs. Lin slapped the prenatal report against her face. If this child turns out to be some bastards, I'll jump off the building right now. Elise knelt on shattered glass, clutching at my pant leg, sobbing so hard she couldn't breathe. The baby is yours. Noah and I never went that far. I swear. I'll never have any contact with him again. Please, just forgive me this once. The doctor said if I terminate this pregnancy, I might never conceive again. I bent down and picked up the ultrasound sheet. Suddenly, memories surfaced. Right after our wedding. Her first miscarriage. Her hand trembling in mine just like now. Fine. I dropped the paper on the floor and booked a paternity test. Then I turned to the lawyer. Start drafting the divorce agreement. To prove her sincerity, Elise deleted all of Noah's contact information in front of me and even withdrew from the racing club. In the days that followed, she came to the hospital every day to accompany Grandpa and even learned how to brew traditional herbal medicine. Our relationship seemed to return to how it was right after our wedding. When I resumed preparations for the WRC rally, I specifically reminded my co-driver Justin, in 3 days, we have the test run, be ready. But the next morning, Justin called with red, swollen eyes. Mr. Koo, the team suddenly notified a personnel change. I slammed the brakes. Isn't the test run next week? They moved the press conference to today. Justin's voice trembled. And at the track, Noah is sitting in your race car. I floored the accelerator and sped toward the track. From a distance, I saw Elise standing at the commentary platform, and in my championship race car, Noah was wearing my custom helmet, my protective suit. Elise. I cut the entire venue's power. What the hell are you doing? The microphone crackled with harsh static before her voice came through. Justin. Justin had an unexpected back injury. Someone suddenly stood up in the stands. Justin held up a CT scan and shouted, my lumbar spine is perfectly fine. It was President Lin who personally suspended me. Gasps rippled across the whole venue as I yanked open the cockpit door. I called the security guards over and had them strip off the helmet and protective suit from Noah's body piece by piece. Then I kicked him hard in the chest. This is my championship car. What makes trash like him think he can sit in it? Noah's face went pale with terror, his legs shaking uncontrollably. Mr. Koo, I really didn't know anything. Please have mercy. Elise rushed forward and shielded Noah behind her, her pregnant belly wedging tightly between us. It was me who asked him to come. If you want to blame someone, blame me. I let out a cold laugh. Elise, you've crossed my bottom line again and again for him. Enough is enough. This car was earned with my life on the line. I would never allow anyone to desecrate it. With a single gesture, the bodyguards lifted Noah up, ready to throw him out. Suddenly, Noah coughed violently, clutching Elisa's sleeve. Eli, it's all my fault. I never should have dreamed of becoming a racer. Just let me die. Seeing him like that, Elise glared at me with fury. Leonardo Koo, the team may be yours, but I brought in all the sponsors. As the race director, what's wrong with temporarily switching the co-driver? I opened my mouth, but she cut sharply across. You're always so overbearing. Just because Noah accompanied me for the prenatal check, you cut off his medical sponsorship and had the team revoke his racing qualifications. He's been getting 12 steroid injections a day just to try to recover enough to return to the track, and now he can't even afford painkillers. If you hadn't cornered him like this, I wouldn't have broken the rules to let him test the car. I laughed out of pure rage. Helping him? Elise, what a convenient excuse for cheating. You've managed to dress up infidelity like some noble sacrifice. She froze for a second, Then in hysteria snatched up the timer and hurled it at me. Leonardo, if you keep this up, I'll withdraw every single sponsor. I'll make sure you never race in WRC again. Bang. I overturned the commentary table, the electronic display crashing to the floor with sparks flying. Elise screamed for security. Drag these two lunatics out. Don't delay the new car launch. As soon as she said it, everyone was tangled in a chaotic scuffle, and behind us came Noah's weak voice. Mr. Koo. I'll beg on your behalf. I ignored him and helped Justin into my car. Don't worry, without Lynn Corporation's sponsorship, and with my club, I'll pay you double the salary. I immediately pulled all preferential resources from the Lynn family and released evidence of the tax evasion they'd hidden over the years. Then I called my assistant. Tomorrow, I want to see Lynn Corporation bankrupt. I had my assistant drive Justin home while my fingers tapped rhythmically on the steering wheel. The car display lit up with a notification. The surveillance room had backed up all footage to the cloud. My reply: keep the original tape secured. Not a single strand of hair is to be missing. The roar of the engine split the stormy night. In the rearview mirror, the LED screen on the Koo Corporation tower blazed harshly. It was looping the interview of Elise leaning against Noah, the woman smiling sweetly on his shoulder. Him gently fixing her hair, the exact same way she looked 3 months ago on our anniversary. The rain grew heavier, and I slammed on the accelerator. The wipers on the windshield were like two merciless guillotines, slicing that hypocritical smiling face apart and forcing it back together again and again. A piece of financial news came through the car radio. After the alliance between the Lynn Group and the Koo family, the stock price continues to rise. I sneered and switched the channel, only to hear an entertainment host gossiping. Sources say the Lynn family's young lady has been frequently visiting the apartment of the race car driver she sponsors. Just as I stepped into the entryway, the phone screen lit up abruptly in the darkness. Noah's latest update stabbed into my eyes like a poisoned dagger. In the center of the 9-photo grid was Elise's hand, painted with crimson lacquer, resting on his tie. The caption read, "My dear personally helped me pick my outfit." I zoomed in on his ring finger. My wedding band was unmistakably gleaming, and the background was the brand new race car showcase I had spent 3 sleepless nights designing. My fingertips trembled uncontrollably, and the sudden ring of a phone almost made me drop it. Mr. Koo. Attorney Wang's voice carried a calmness tinged with absolute certainty of victory. The Lynn Group's third-largest shareholder has just signed the equity transfer. Also, the hotel surveillance footage you requested. Send it to my email. I cut him off and stepped barefoot onto the soft cashmere rug of the study. My father was feeding the Lynn Group mortgage contract into the shredder. The blue light from the display reflected a chilling smile on his face. Elise really thought the Koo family's 20 years of connections were just for show. Amid the humming of the shredder, I opened the email. In the high-definition footage, Elise swiped the keycard to enter the hotel suite, the very birthday gift I had given him. The black card's gold-stamped Koo shimmered under the camera. On the 7th day of the silent standoff, Elise finally called. When I picked up, the TV was reporting the Lynn Group's plunging stock price. Leonardo, her voice was hoarse like rusted gears. Noah, just your kept pretty boy. I cut her off as lightning suddenly split the sky outside. Rain slammed against the glass, making Noah's new post look even more jarring. He was wearing my uniform, geotagged at the Lynn Group president's private lounge. At dawn the next day, the financial headlines exploded in a chain of scandals. Standing in the Koo family's top-floor conference room, I stared at the large screen showing the Lynn Group stock limit down for the 3rd consecutive day. The director of the Legal Affairs Department rushed in. President Lynn just barged into the sample room with Mr. Noah, saying they want to take back the wedding ring. When the elevator reached the 3rd floor, the sharp sound of arguing pierced through the hallway. Noah was shoving my equipment violently into a suitcase. The moment he saw me, he immediately hid behind Elise. Eli said these were mine in the first place, including this. I held up the tablet, and the surveillance video clearly showed him sneaking into my office last week to tamper with the supplier list. Elise's face drained of color. Noah suddenly grabbed her arm and cried. They forced me to admit it. His carefully styled hair was plastered to his face. Too late. I slapped the divorce papers onto the sample table. As the glass vibrated with a low hum, my father's aide walked in with the police. Noah, the evidence chain for the crime of corporate espionage is complete. When Elise caught up to me in the garage, the storm had soaked her expensive gown through. She clutched my car door with all her strength. Those videos are fake, right? The silk scarf coiled around her neck like a snake, and the peach blossom eyes that once captivated me were now bloodshot. I lowered the car window, letting the raindrops hit her deathly pale face directly. Elise, your biggest mistake wasn't cheating. The roar of the engine crushed her final excuse. It was forgetting that every brick of your business empire bears my name. In the rearview mirror, her figure kneeling in the rain grew smaller and smaller. I turned on the car radio. The female anchor was reporting the latest update. The Koo Group has announced a complete withdrawal of investment from the Lin Group. This high-profile marital fallout may trigger a reshuffling across the business world. The footage on the LCD screen was suffocating. In front of the Lin Group headquarters, a black mass of people surged like a tide. On the banners held by the debt collectors, the blood-red words, "Elise, pay up," were especially glaring under the scorching sun. The camera suddenly zoomed in, freezing on a face I almost couldn't recognize. Elise's collar was crooked, her nearly 5-month belly flattened, and her sunken eye sockets looked like twin black holes. According to reports, the Lin Group stock price hit the limit down again at opening this morning. This marks the 7th consecutive trading day. The female anchor's mechanical voice droned on from the TV. I gently swirled the bone china teacup, the fragrance of Biluacun tea filling the air. The tea reflected the cold curve of my smile. The once almighty business prodigy could no longer maintain even the most basic dignity. The butler appeared silently behind me, the phone on the silver tray showing a live surveillance feed. "Young master, Miss Lin is here. She's right outside." His tone was steady, as though reporting something utterly ordinary. My fingers paused. A few drops of tea splashed onto the Persian carpet, quickly blooming into dark stains. On the surveillance screen, Elise Lin was pounding frantically on the iron gate. The heiress who once graced the covers of finance magazines with bold confidence now looked like a stray dog. 2 bodyguards lifted her up like a chick and tossed her aside. She stumbled, falling hard onto the gravel road, instantly scraping 2 bloody holes on her knees. The next second, this woman, the one I had once knelt before at our wedding to put a diamond ring on, actually fell to both knees, pressing her forehead against the icy iron bars. "Leonardo." Her cry tore through the air. "For the sake of our 3 years of marriage." Her voice reached me through the speakers, distorted by the electronic device. My father suddenly smashed his teacup, shards scattering everywhere. "I'll personally drive that shameless thing away." He grabbed a golf club and was about to storm outside. I pressed down on his bulging, vein-lined wrist, his skin cold to the touch. "Dad," I said softly, "let me take care of this trash." The moment I opened the iron gate, Elisa's eyes lit up, like a drowning person spotting driftwood. She crawled forward on her knees, her forehead knocking loudly against the bluestone slabs. "It was Noah who seduced me," she sobbed. "That bastard drugged me." I watched her performance coldly and noticed she was still wearing the Patek Philippe I had given her, bought with my supplementary card. A harsh breaking sound suddenly tore through the rain. Mr. and Mrs. Lin stumbled out of their car, the Hermes gift bags in their hands pathetically contrasting with their panicked expressions. Mrs. Lin dropped to her knees in front of me with a thud, breaking 2 of her carefully manicured fingernails. "Leo," she cried so hard that half her false lashes had fallen off. "You can hit her, scold her, whatever you want, just please don't destroy Eli." Mr. Lin's slap came without warning. Smack. The crisp sound echoed through the courtyard. Elisa's face was snapped to the side, blood seeping from the corner of her mouth. "You animal." Mr. Lin trembled violently. "You ruined the Lin family's century-old legacy for some stray man." When he turned to me, his face streaked with tears, he looked like a pathetic, second-rate actor. "Leonardo, as long as you show mercy." The Lin Group's 51% shares. I raised a hand to interrupt his performance and pulled a folder from my briefcase. The divorce judgment drew a graceful arc through the air before slapping heavily onto Elisa's face. The papers fanned out, revealing the premarital property agreement she had signed. In black and white, if cheating occurs, the party at fault leaves with nothing. Remember this. I bent down and gripped her chin. "You told me this agreement would never be needed." Her pupils shrank violently, finally realizing this wasn't a simple marital quarrel. Mrs. Lin suddenly lunged forward to clutch my leg, still screaming as the bodyguards held her back. "Are you Koo people trying to force us to death?" I turned and walked toward the mansion. Behind me came Elisa's desperate scream. "Leonardo, would you be where you are today without me?" Without slowing my steps, I lifted a hand for the butler to shut the door. The heavy iron gates slowly closed, sealing the hysteria, curses, and sobbing outside. Sunlight streamed through the glass conservatory, falling onto my ring finger. There was no ring left, only a faint pale mark. The next morning, I hadn't even stepped into the Koo Group building's elevator when my phone began vibrating violently. The first message from my assistant was a screenshot. The top 5 trending searches on Weibo were all Lin family scandals. The entire Lin family kneels. Leonardo Koo's elite revenge. Lin Group, countdown to bankruptcy. I opened the most viral video. In the footage, Elise knelt outside the Su family's iron gate, her forehead pressed to the icy ground, her knees scraped raw and bleeding. Her mother sat collapsed on the ground, wailing, her gold thread cheongsam stained with mud, and her father, the same business titan who once dominated the corporate world, was trembling as he bowed repeatedly toward the camera, chanting, "Please show mercy." The comment section had exploded. Entertainment first line comment, LMAO, yesterday she was a glamorous CEO. Today she's a stray mutt. Finance analyst comment, breaking news, Lin Group stock crashes 90%. Creditors are splashing paint on HQ. Legal Encyclopedia comment, FYI. Mr. Ku's entire strategy is 100% lawful. Textbook commercial warfare. I locked my phone. The mirrored elevator doors reflected the cold curve of my smile. This show was only beginning. The Lin family collapsed even faster than expected. Suppliers who once groveled at their feet now turned on them collectively, blocking the Lin Group tower with banners. One contractor even drove an excavator over, threatening to tear down their model showroom to repay debts. The banks were even more ruthless. They froze all Lin Group accounts, not even sparing the cleaning lady's payroll card. The most ironic part? The leading banker, Director Lee, had been on his knees 3 months ago begging Elise to attend his daughter's wedding. Mr. Ku, new update. My assistant handed me a tablet. Elise has moved into a rental unit in an urban village. Monthly rent, 800. Cockroaches enough to form a football team. In the footage, Elise was bending down to pick up clothes torn apart by debt collectors. When she lifted her head, the camera caught the redness around her eyes. The woman who once poured champagne over others' heads now couldn't even afford anything but the cheapest bottled water. Just when Elise was at her most desperate, Noah appeared, unkempt, wearing clothes worth only a few bucks, carrying wilted vegetables from a bargain bin at the street market. He knocked on the door of that moldy rental room. Eli. He knelt on the floor, massaging Mr. Lin's stroke-stiffened leg. Even when the old man's uncontrolled bite drew blood from his fingers, he didn't let go. I saved 50,000 yuan. Let me buy uncle some medicine. Okay. In the late-night surveillance footage, Elise curled up in his arms like a child, crying her heart out. She stroked his greasy hair, humming an off-key lullaby, as if they were a pair of fallen lovers. Noah. When I climbed back up, Elise trembled as she pulled out a USB drive. This is the core algorithm of the autonomous driving system, my last bargaining chip. On the day Noah disappeared, it was pouring rain. When Elise discovered her bank account had been wiped clean, the computer screen still displayed his sticky note. Went to buy your favorite sweet and sour ribs. Wait for me. But in truth, he was already on a flight abroad, carrying 6 million yuan obtained from selling the algorithm. What made it worse was that before quitting the racing circuit, he maxed out Elise's final credit card, ordering a custom diamond-encrusted urn under the name, the husband of President Lin. The recipient's name, Elise. When police caught Noah in the airport bathroom, he was applying chemicals to his face, trying to disguise himself. In court, he wept like a pear blossom in the rain. I was forced. Leonardo sent people to assault my sister. The judge immediately played the recording of him extorting Elise. Give me the money or I'll tell the media your mom has AIDS. At the sentencing, Elise suddenly burst into wild laughter, dancing like a lunatic. During visitation day, I saw the bruises on Noah's face through the glass. Rumor said Elise had spent her last 100,000 to bribe inmates to give him special treatment, like mixing glass shards into his meals, or dumping ice water on him at midnight. Leonardo. He suddenly lunged at the glass, his nails screeching against it. You think you've won? Elise is a damn lunatic. I put on my sunglasses with graceful indifference and walked away. Behind me came his hysterical shrieks, mixed with the crackling sound of the guards' electric batons. News of the Lin Group's bankruptcy and liquidation spread across the city like a plague. I stood before the floor-to-ceiling windows on the 88th floor of the Ku Group Tower, overlooking the ant-like flow of cars below. The storm had just passed. Droplets still clung to the glass, reflecting the golden shimmer of the champagne in my hand. President Ku. These are the appraisal reports for the 3 Lin family mansions in the Riverside district. The assistant gently placed the documents on the ebony desk. The gilded contract on top gleamed coldly in the sunlight. My hand paused mid-spin of the pen. The letter L engraved on the cap flickered between my fingers. It was the birthday gift Elise Lin had given me last year. The auction for the Lin family's old estate is scheduled for next Wednesday. The assistant's voice carried a restrained excitement. It happens to be the original date of Mr. Lin's 70th birthday banquet. I sipped my champagne. Just as the bubbles burst across my tongue, a breaking financial news alert popped up on my phone. Former business prodigy Elise photographed fighting stray dogs for food at a garbage dump. As the car turned into the dark alley, the scent of the car perfume mixed with the post-rain metallic odor seeped into my nose. From a distance came the dull thuds of bodies hitting pavement, mixed with filthy curses. Didn't Miss Lin love drinking Lafite? Here, this slop is for you. At the moment the headlights tore open the darkness, I saw Elise being kicked to the wall like a rag doll. The gown she once wore with elegance had become shredded rags. The peach blossom eyes that once enchanted me were now swollen into thin slits. The most ironic part, she was still wearing the Patek Philippe wristwatch I had given her. The cracks webbing across the dial looked exactly like the end of our marriage. Handle it. I lowered the car window. Rain mixed with the metallic scent of blood blew straight into my face. Amid the sound of my bodyguard's leather shoes stepping through puddles, Elise suddenly struggled violently when she saw me, her hoarse scream scraping like a dull knife against glass. "Leonardo, are you satisfied now?" As the assistant supported her under an umbrella, I noticed her right pinky finger bent unnaturally. Last month's masterpiece, courtesy of the debt collectors, the car radio suddenly switched to breaking news. Former Lynn Group CEO Elise has been added to the national defaulters list. The next morning, sunlight filtered through the sheer curtains, casting striped shadows across Elise's newly issued uniform shirt. She stood in the center of the office, the smell of disinfectant unable to mask the decay sinking into her bones. I slowly opened the cleaning staff contract. Monthly salary, $4,800. Room and board included. I slid a contract toward her. "There's a vacancy in the Coup Group's janitorial department." She stared at the janitorial employment contract, fingers trembling slightly. Her eyeballs rolled violently, her left hand unconsciously rubbing her crippled right pinky. This woman who once spent millions at auctions without blinking now had to pay her hospital caregiver fees in installments. Why? Her voice was as dry as sandpaper scraping. I let out a soft laugh and pushed open the window. Downstairs, the Lynn Group creditors liquidation conference was underway. After a long moment, she raised her bloodshot eyes. Her voice was hoarse. "I'll do it." She had no choice. Years passed in a blur. Under my management, the Coup Group expanded several times over, while Elise's name had long been erased from the public memory. Until one day, my assistant hurried into my office, face solemn. "President Coup. Elise is in trouble. Noah attacked her during her shift today. He caught her off guard and stabbed her vital organ with a fruit knife. She died on the spot." My steps faltered slightly. All I felt was a faint sense of melancholy, nothing more. I held a dignified funeral for her, watching Mr. Lin's trembling hands lower his daughter's ashes into the grave. I also sent her parents enough money to ensure a peaceful old age. Many more years passed. Occasionally, when I saw Elise's name in old news archives, it felt like a story from another lifetime. All those memories had long been cast behind me. The future that belonged to me was only just beginning.